Arrive your true being. I describe the near-death experiences of those who have died and recovered. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, thumbs up, and bell to be notified of new content. FRE and helps the channel thrive. Enjoy a cup of coffee or tea and let's begin today's experience. My godchild got a little hanging stained glass window with wisdom. This beautiful white St. Francis of Assisi figurine arrived. After being confused, I called the seller to explain the mistake. Both my item and order number were different from the one they sent me, which confused them. It was auspicious, so they sent me the window hanging and insisted I keep the statuette. They believed a greater God reason was at play, and that I needed close contact with St. Francis. Okay, I said, joyfully accepting this unexpected gift and turn of events. Cleaned around my favorite living room chair and contemplated this gift daily. Why are you here? I'd ask St. Francis. To do or learn. Is there a message? Because Ohio weather is uncertain in late March and early April, it had to be late March or early April. After a large temperature drop the morning of the event, I had to put on my heavy wool coat. T-strap heels, dress, and winter coat for work. My recent acquisition was a yellow Ford cargo van with tinted windows, an automatic with a powerful Canadian V8 engine. I was still getting used to its blind spots and controlling such a large car with side mirrors. Driving a Ford Pinto made this change scary. This van fit narrowly into a fourplex garage with masonry partitions between neighboring parking spaces. We had separate garage doors but shared the interior. The brick wall to the right and the brick barrier to the left marked my parking slot at the garage's far end. Around a quarter of the way out of the garage this morning, I realized my angle was off. Scraping the van's paint was unacceptable. So I parked, opened the door, and jumped out. The van's back was where I checked to see if I needed to straighten it. As soon as I opened the driver's side door, the van accelerated into the garage. I tried to jump into the van, but the door quickly closed. The door almost cut off my legs when it hit the brick partition, so I retreated, my heart racing. Foolishly, I leaned on the van to regroup. The van was dragging me into that narrow gap between the brick partition and the van. I struggled to escape that abrupt press outside the building. I was too firmly bound, and my attempts to remove myself were failing. My screams demanded help. I was squeezed to death by quick pressurized movement. Pain distorted my screams. I quickly accepted a shocking accident with fractured bones, and who knows what else. I hated God for not loving me enough to knock me out. Non-conscious experience was my goal. My focus moved to my body's decline, throwing up and emptying my bladder. I recognized death. I went from being angry with my dad, life, and myself to being my spirit self, resolved not to take this rage to the other side. My love forgave everything. This drill is familiar to me after thousands of times. The soft spot in a baby's head is where I left the body. It was great to be free. I enjoyed being free from flesh, matter, and gravity. I sighed. It was like taking off a tight girdle. Then I looked down. Old man next door gasped. The brick separator and van crushed my body. I saw all the neighborhood people gathering. The impact of my death on my family was my concern. It was obvious they would be shocked, sad, and regretful. My gaze then turned to heaven. They found Kuthumi, also known as St. Francis of Assisi. Eternal presence showed him as a clear, light vignette in a human form surrounded by cherubs. Was my teacher mentor. As for 3D life, there is no time, space, or words. Large amounts of information and communication were freely exchanged without confusion. Light and love together is stunning. I can only summarize this exchange, and it changes each time I do. I was recalled by my Christos spirit presence to review a dire situation that was interfering with my life path and to sort things out. Like a safety valve recall, this death. To recognize the slippery backslide that was neither karmically induced nor necessary for my soul, I had to wake up. To decide if this situation should continue or end, I needed more guidance. This path wasn't just a diversion. Understanding that my actions were taking me down a new path was crucial. 2. The alcohol problem was mine. Drinking too much made me unconscious. Despite my belief I had no control, I stopped drinking or numbing myself. Not negotiable, and I knew why. Indeed, I concur. I could return to my current life and re-enter my body, taking part in the scene below, or I could be born as an infant into another family to start over. Without hesitation, I chose a miracle with no broken bones or organs bursting from the accidental compression. Doctors were confused and dismissive of my body memory and muscle displacement. Presence and the diagnosis thereof made me dislike starting over with parents seeking truth through consensus religions and such ideas. Light and love is not self-righteous, judgmental, arrogant, or special. The fact that we are divine is not why I returned. This is my honest reflection on a rare opportunity to know I'd be back to guessing, wishing, hoping, wondering, and despairing if I chose to be reborn. My future and soon-to-be parents could only guide and teach me their beliefs, tying me as a child to what I considered another case of the blind leading the blind. I didn't start over because of my choice. I'm a spirit in a body and aware of it. My spiritual guide is this amazing discovery. After this experience, I wouldn't believe I was one with the Creator. Right after this decision, I was back on Earth. VAN rolled off and hit back wall. People were lifting me off the brick separator and supporting me. To help me stand, they were removing my shoes. Approaching ambulance, my coat was shredded, my shoe's steel shank was bent in half, and I smelled dirty. When I woke up, there was a stranger. Supposedly, he lived 4 units down. With his arms around me like a huddle, he stood in front of me at the garage wall, wearing a cap. He reviewed my agreements with Kathumi and my choice, and told me to not fight it and go to the hospital. After being amazed, I invited him to tea to discuss this. On my return, he said, but I never saw him again. Discussing miracles, I said I wanted to sleep in my flat. The paramedics took me to the hospital on a board, expecting me to bleed profusely. The opposite occurred. As the paramedic in the back said, I was the happiest almost dead person. Total body x-rays and other tests were done at the hospital. As they returned to the hospital, the paramedic checked on me all day. He couldn't believe how well I was processing what happened, so we had some interesting conversations. Ike, my protective neighbor, who we pretended was my dad, released me. Releasing fluids made me weak. With Ike's help, I stood and left after demanding orange juice. Day's experience is over. As always, leave a comment. Stay blessed and safe until next time.